So the show is Shoot Your Shot. It's still a relatively new show. This is our 9th episode ever. And this is our second guest ever, which is extremely cool and very exciting. We are here, just a little bit of housekeeping. This is Love to Beat Radio. It is 8 o'clock in London. We are in South London live, which is very exciting. You told us a little bit about your history and how you started your career. Was there ever a time, and it sounds like there could have been, where you felt stuck in your career?
Oh, yeah.
And how did you kind of go about pushing through that?
So a career, that's really old life. And
I
worked in finance. I was the most unpolitical little German you could imagine. So of course, JP Morgan is not a place where you can just go like, oh, what? How does that work? Oh, what? And of course, it felt like the coolest thing ever. Oh my God, the coolest thing ever. So there was never any question as in, is this interesting? Is this fun? Is this inspiring? It just was. That's just what it was. And there were no options. It was just a matter of going with it. So there wasn't even a question, am I stuck? I was just thinking like, this really does not feel good. But I'm in a cool place, so I'm kind of cool, even though I don't feel cool.
Yes, I can relate to this very much. Yes. Yeah. It's interesting because I think like as younger people, investment banking has a very kind of like sexy, cool appeal, for lack of a better word. I was also in investment banking and I didn't necessarily feel passionate about it. And the entire time I was there, I was thinking, how am I going to fulfill my passions? And I'm still on that journey, which is part of this show. I haven't made it. I'm still figuring things out, right? But you kind of feel like, oh, wow, so many people would want to be here. I'm lucky to be here. This is really cool. But did I feel anything for it? I don't know if I did. I can very much relate to you there. Okay, so did you have that moment where... Sometimes people have one specific significant moment or maybe a series of moments where you decide, this is the path I want to take. I want to be a founder. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to focus on brain health because of what's happened in my life. Did you have that like, aha, I'm doing this? Or was it a series of events over time?
It was probably a series of events. And I studied functional medicine just to really understand myself. And then it was, the more I talked about it, the more people were saying, so what are you going to do with that now? And I was always like, well, I don't know. And so with that, and after probably it was this very organic, like, obviously that's what I'm going to do. So it kind of morphed into my life. And so it didn't really occur to me that I was going to be a founder and a startup and an entrepreneur. It was so much more so like, I'm going to do something with that. I don't know what, but I'm just going to do something with that.
Yes.
And so with this determination of desperation, but also this perfect, complete, blissful ignorance of, I'm just going to do that somehow. It's going to be fine. So that was kind of my approach.
Yeah, I like that. Sometimes you have to just go for it. And I think all of the details, you don't have them. And I've gotten that advice before, like, shoot your shot, but just go for it. Because I think a lot of times people... It's a good thing, too, to be fair, where you kind of analyze and you want everything to be all ducks in a row. But I don't think that entrepreneurship really works that way. I'm totally with you on that. Okay, so obviously in the careers, we're going all over, up and down. And that's the beauty of all of this, I think. But what would you say, as of today, you would consider your biggest win thus far?
Career-wise, I mean, in my old life, I mean, every now and then I think of the dudes that I worked with, and they're probably like, do you remember that annoying German girl? But probably my personal biggest win in relation to career was really the fact that I got an offer from JP Morgan to move here right after university to go to become a trainee in their program. And with that was at that stage I didn't realize how profound that move would be, because I never really fit into anything in Germany. I always tried to fit in and tried to be in, and it was never really me. And then being pushed into a completely new place, I moved here without knowing anyone, knowing anything.
Which is a bold and amazing, that in itself is inspiring. When you move to another country, you don't know anyone, and you just do it.
The best thing I ever did. And that was really the beginning of finding my tribe, to use that lame expression. And to be around people that are not all the same, and they don't just judge, and they don't look at your watch and your shoes and your accessories and go, oh my god.
Yeah.
But, exactly. And everybody's different. Everybody does their own thing, and as absurd it might sound to outsiders, but London is such a kind place. The kindness of strangers in this city is at a level that any German friend I speak with, they don't know what I'm talking about.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Because I was about to ask you, so what had you stay in London and never go back? But it sounds like it's the people you met that made such a big difference.
Yeah. It was initially that probably after a year, met my husband here, and he was from Sweden. So and we both lived here, and so that made me stay. And then of course, you know what it's like, you get one little promotion and a little bonus, and they're like, but the next one's gonna be
great. The next one's gonna be huge. Donald Trump voice, but yes.
Exactly. So you play this game, and you don't really ask any questions. So that really got me stuck here, and I met people, but in my old life, my connections were superficial. It was all what things looked like and who had the best Range Rover and shit like that. And now in my new life, I'm 180 degrees different. I'm
love that.
Total hippie. I connect with wonderful people. And if that is the dude that cleans up the park where I live on my way to the gym every morning, he says, "Good morning, Tina." For some reason, he knows my name.
Well, I love that.
His smile makes me as happy as anyone else. And so I've learned human connections, everything. So, and now, you know, I can waffle like there's no tomorrow. So
I love it. And by the way, I totally agree. I think human first. That's what determines everything. And the connections you make in life is what makes a life. What makes a city or what makes a neighborhood is the guy at the park or the guy in the corner, the guy you get your coffee from. I live by that, so I love that. Okay, lovely. So, something really cool, or what I think is really cool, one of the many things I think is really cool about you, is that you, I believe, used to dabble in the jewelry space before digital health and before this journey. And something, not that I struggle with, but I find that people have trouble understanding is when people don't have a linear path. And so I'm someone who's really excited about pursuit of dreams, and I'll try anything, and then I am happy to pivot. And I think one of the hard things in society is to not really be concerned what people think of that, and that you can have multiple passions. You can be a multi-passionate person. So I wanted to know a little bit about the jewelry that I know you were, I think, designing prior. We got it here. Show it to the camera. Amazing. And I guess like how you transitioned, of course, I think your health journey had something to do with that, but how you kind of look at that, are they things you're both interested in now? Are they similar passions? How do you think about it?
Well, I guess I've always had a passion for well-designed, beautiful things. And whatever that is. And it was really that at a stage where I had left JP Morgan, I was in a really bad shape already.
And sorry, how many years were you at JP Morgan?
I think all in probably only 7.
That's a lot. 7 years. So you're in the banking world for 7 years, which is quite intense.
And I learned so much, and I learned so much about who I do not want to be. That might also sound familiar to
Yes,
you.
very much so.
And so back to your question, so I've always loved beautiful things, and of course in my old life, stuff was important. But I've always had a bit of a creative side, and I love the idea of seeing something, and I don't know, that little green box of chewing gum you have there.
Yes.
And to actually think that color is beautiful, and imagine if you could do this and this and that with that. And so the idea of creating something from your thoughts and into a beautiful little thing. And this jewelry business, it was tiny, but that for me was the first time I had personal connections with females, and that sounds surreal because I was in an all-girls school, but I never had true human connection because I was never honest with myself. I was always trying to be somebody else that I wasn't, and all that. And only then it was after all these years just sitting at dinner tables and people talking about transactions and this and that and who's on the ticket and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be part of that, and then I was then sitting at the girls' end of the table, and suddenly they were like, "Oh, that's pretty. What's that? And I like that in green." And suddenly these sorry, they didn't sound like babies.
No, I understand.
But it was a complete different type of conversation.
Yes,
and that was for me incredibly cool. And it's still a passion of mine, and the concept that somebody loves something that I did and incorporates that in their style. That's amazing. And it always comes back to connection.
Yeah.
So in that way, and you were talking about all these different facets, so people have different passions, and to me, it is all very logical. It fits together. I love beautiful things, and to me, health is incredibly important, and that it's digital health. It was just the logical progression to make that scalable. And so I'm not a tech person, but all these aspects of me, I find super logical fitting together. But for an outsider, it's just like, how is that all,
That's so true. And I think that's beautiful, by the way. And it's beautiful to create something that people want to put on their body, which is incredible. And it's like that multi-passionate, or I think they call multi-hyphenated, where I think the average person sees life like linear. Like, you're in finance, you love finance. You were in this, you're in this. But I don't know, I've always come from a very different school of thought there. So I think that's really cool about your background, personally. Okay, so we're going to shift into learning a little bit more about your company itself. Okay. It's amazing that you are the founder of this company. Want to learn a little bit more about that. And I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Viatitude
exactly.
Health. I got it.
Like
okay.
Via and attitude, my attitude.
Like that.
So life, attitude, that's...
Okay, very cool. I was going to ask about the name, but we got the answer there. Okay, so just for pretend we are like 5th graders, can we understand a little bit as viewers, what is it? How'd you come up with the idea? Kind of what's maybe the overall mission? When did you start it? Just kind of the basics about the company.
So probably the elevator pitch would be, and I think that's very understandable. So Viatitude is going to be an app that will give the user personalized guidance on food and lifestyle choices to make to improve their brain health now and decrease their risk for Alzheimer's disease later in life. So that's very high level, and I came up with that really on my journey researching my way back to life, and I found a lot of papers that were very specifically showing that Alzheimer's is preventable with food and lifestyle, and all these papers are just academic papers, very high quality, but of course they're stored in pubmed.gov, some database, but it's not people that have Alzheimer's in the family that go like, let me check PubMed, I will figure it out. Everybody just goes like, shit, what's happening? And they go and see their doctor, and the doctor says, this is not great. Here are some drugs that don't do anything, but let's just stay in the illusion. And then they watch their loved one go downhill. And I was thinking, all this data is out there. It's not accessible. It's not actionable, especially for people that need it the most. People that live in circumstances where they eat shit, essentially. Kellogg's for breakfast, Oreos for lunch, whatever
Cheetos.
It is. Their blood sugar all over the place, their toxicity levels, the medical background, which was good in the sense that I didn't have the sense of this is how it's done, because that is incredibly important, to completely let go of this is how it's done, but actually to go with what makes sense to you. And I just read these papers, I read the abstract, the conclusion, and all I was thinking was, is that me? Does it make sense? And I'll try it out.
And what was your biggest fear from this period before you kind of figured out, oh, this might be something I can control with my lifestyle? What went through your head? Like, what was the worst case scenario?
So death was constantly very, very present.
That's very scary.
In hindsight, that is the reason why I enjoy every single moment of my life.
That's
so
nice.
At that stage, I was with my husband, and he was taking care of me wonderfully, and he gave me the feeling that I was loved. In hindsight, everything was a bit different, but during the time it was wonderful. And so it was very much the awareness, this is not going to end well, and of course I was going downhill, not just cognitively but also physically, and being ill is not cool, and people don't really know what to do with that. And how other people behave towards you when you are in terrible shape is possibly harder than being in terrible shape oneself.
As in, like, you can sense like their feeling of worry, or their feeling of pity, or
exactly, pity is so horrendous, but also feeling uncomfortable as what's wrong with you? And some people clumsily would ask me, so what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know.
That's terrible.
But people just don't know what to do with illness. And so that was really,
it's been a very scary time for you.
Yes, but in hindsight, I sometimes wonder when I talk about this, I'm thinking like, that was me. That's so interesting, because now, of course, now I've talked about it my whole new life. I was able to talk about it. In my old life, I was just constantly crying and constantly all over the place. And now I can talk about everything. And I'm feeling probably I've completely learned to just love myself, to just be so happy about everything that I can do, to have a working brain, that everything works. My handwriting is legible again.
Oh, wow.
So many things just
awesome.
went downhill so much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is very, very deep seated confidence and very solid confidence. I've overcome that. Nothing bad can happen to me anymore. So it's this complete fearlessness now, because what else could possibly happen now?
Yeah.
So that's my approach.
That's a pretty cool way to think about it. Like, you've kind of seen death in the eye and the fear of that stage in your life, and now you're like reborn, ready to go, which is pretty awesome.
And I've totally made peace with death, in the sense that when people are like, oh my God, I'm so scared, and Putin and this and that, I'm like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
When the universe is calling you home, it's time to go. It's all good.
Yeah. I'm going to call you when I have problems. I like your outlook. I need to think like that. Okay, that's super inspiring and very cool. And I can't imagine what that was like, but I feel like that's really made you come out on the other side so strong, which is really incredible. For those people out there who want to do a startup, I think a lot of people want to. Sometimes they have great ideas, but there's so much hesitation and trepidation. So you started something kind of from the ground up. So how would you kind of describe that process, like where you started to where we are today?
Probably in my case, it was very organic, very unstructured, unstrategic. I was just kind of going with it, and people had ideas. In the beginning, I was always like, they don't understand, I'm not going to listen to them. Nobody understands, because everything is different about me. And then I learned that listening to people is actually very valuable. Learning to listen or deciding who to listen to. Some people are just chat and shit, and but also to learn to talk about it, because the classic mistake of a startup founder is to say, like, it's my idea, I'm not going to talk about it because somebody's going to steal it. And this realization, talk about it as much as you can. Don't ever share any trade secrets or anything that could be copied, but talk about it as much as you can. Get people on board, collaborators, people that support you, people that give you helpful insight.
Yes.
And that is probably the one advice that I would give to a new founder or a person who's thinking about it. Talk about it. And then you'll see if people just say, like, that exists already, that's crap, why would you? But to really get outside feedback very soon.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would do.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people can benefit from that. I know it takes a while to get the chutzpah to start something. So that's really cool. And I think one of the big challenges, and something I faced personally as well, is when you don't have the funds, but you want to start something. I think it's not just the trepidation and the fear that it won't work, but you feel like you just don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the resources. I know that was my situation, but I just kind of did it anyway. What would you say to someone who is like, I'd love to start something, but I don't have the money?
It is so fascinating how much is possible without any money, literally. So probably if I would do it again, or next time, obviously there's always going to be,
there's always
you start one and then you have to go on, would be to actually structure my thoughts, put it all on paper, call it my business plan, and just to be clear about what actually the product is, who the consumers or the users are, and what the business model might be, and to understand all these terms, what a business model is, and to actually be clear, structured, and then go to networkings and go to events. And I remember people were talking about, oh, you can do this for free and that for free and free trial and here or there, and I was thinking, like, how just go for it. And and of course, any founder will think about every 250 pounds 3 times before they spend it on any garbage. And so in that way, there is so much out there for free. And especially in London, there are a number of government-funded or city-funded incubators. There's Barclays Eagle Labs, for example, completely
this is
free.
True. Yes.
They're not even taking equity, no fees, and unbelievably helpful. And the whole startup ecosystem, I love that term, the ecosystem. Everybody is incredibly generous, sharing their knowledge. So there is so much that can be done with little to no money at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that as well. I didn't have any excess funds myself, and
excess funds.
Yeah,
that's a term.
Yes, I only had funds to exist in my own life.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there are ways to do everything, and the same. If I could give anyone advice, is like, for example, with a food product, it's typically quite expensive, but there's always a way. Like, yes, you need a manufacturer and distributor, but you can also go to a commercial kitchen, and you can also join like a co-living type of commercial kitchen where you're sharing the kitchen space, and it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and you can just do things even weirder. Like I was going at midnight, taking a shift with a hairnet on to this co-shared commercial kitchen in the middle of nowhere, and it was weird, but it was cheap. So you can find a way.
And that is the best experiences and the best connections. There you meet the coolest people that also have the determination to do something and don't care if it's somewhere in a chic place or not so much.
Yes. A lot of times entrepreneurship is not glamorous. I don't know if you agree. It's quite the opposite.
Exactly.
It's honestly painful at times, but it's really worth it.
Totally.
Okay, cool. So we have a couple more questions before the commercial break, and then there's a 5-minute break on the commercials at the station, and then we'll resume. So I'm curious, kind of, not really the legacy, but what impact do you want the company to have on the industry, or we can think even bigger, on the world, but what is your hope with all of this?
I guess that is probably still a very much blue sky thinking kind of thing, but to contribute to this shift in behavior, that humans just take on responsibility for their own health and accept the fact that that literally every single thing they do and eat every day has a direct impact on their brain, on their total health, on their life, on their ability to think straight, and to contribute to that would be a huge thing for me. And to think that there may be one person with my kind of illness or any sort of illness that is just debilitating, that might find that after a week after the diagnosis and go like, that is what's going to save me. And that is such a magical feeling to think that might happen.
Definitely. I have to say, like, even just from my perspective, I think so many people are not aware that this is a disease that is or can be preventable with healthy choices, which will, following the advice of this app, I don't even think is just for the brain, but it's overall health, which is so exciting. So there's so many benefits to it. And like you said, imagine the person who just got that diagnosis or was in the situation that you were in. And then this exists. I mean, being able to create that for somebody, what a feeling. That's really cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, that was really good to get a little bit deeper on the company. We still have a couple of minutes, so we'll do a couple of kind of just break up questions. Then we'll go to commercial, and then we'll come back. So I'm going to start with, if these are just random fun questions, but if you could switch lives with someone for a day, it could be someone we know, someone we don't know, who would it be?
Oh, that would be Kobe Bryant.
The best answer ever. Mamba mentality, baby.
I just saw a piece about his venture capital fund, and I thought, like, oh my God, this dude has this immense physical strength, this mental strength, this resilience.
Incredible person.
And then he has used his funds to start a venture capital fund. And I read about the fund and the vibe and everything. And of course, he passed away and all that, and the way they dealt with that.
To Kobe.
And of course, to live like a man would be super interesting, especially like a very capable man.
Yes.
And a terribly good-looking one as well. So
yes, I agree. Kobe's one of my all-time heroes on a personal note. He's the background on my laptop. I have stickers of him. He's framed in my room, I have to say. So I've been a fan of him for many years. And he's a big source of inspiration for me. I get a lot of my motivation from sports, which is interesting, but especially Kobe. And what you just said is so true, is he was so multi-talented. Like, he had made like a kids movie, and I think he's the first NBA player to have gotten an Oscar, I believe, at the end of his life. For a movie that he created like right before. So he was transitioning into the entrepreneur life, which is really something special. And gosh, I wish he was still alive. He's a Phenomenal human being. Love that answer. I love him so much. So, and I like the Mamba mentality. So this show is like shoot your shot mentality. But Mamba mentality is all about just working very hard and not giving up. And that's why I get so much of my motivation from him. And I really admire people. And I think you have this where I think how you win is consistency over time. And I think like since I met you, like I have to be fair to like, I have to be real. Like I kind of ebb and flow with what I'm doing. I feel like you've been really consistent, and it's not about like showing some big change. It's like every day you've done, you continued, you've been committed to your bigger vision, and it shows. And after all, like nothing can be better than that. Like the success will just come out of that. And that's a Kobe thing. It has to. Okay, cool. Another question, I think the last one before the commercial is, have you had like a funny / embarrassing moment in a business meeting? Because I have. So I'd like to hear your funniest moment if you have one.
I literally don't have one. I mean,
that's so fortunate. This woman is lucky.
But it was just not fun. I think that's the overall.
Yeah.
But please share yours. That sounds like that was. Oh,
unfortunately, I was one of those people that walked into a glass. So when you go to a company, it was like an investor meeting, and the entire conference room was glass. And unfortunately, I did not know that. It was so clean.
Oh, no reflection.
No reflection. No. And all the people were already in the room. And I walked into it, wanted to die. And then worst part, that's not even the worst part. My like makeup was kind of on the glass. I mean, I don't know how I survived such a situation. And I still think about it to this day. It was a couple years ago. I mean, I can't get it out of my head.
That is the funniest thing. And think about your life's movie. That would be a scene in there.
Yes.
And to think that everybody's sitting at that big conference table and your nose print is on that window, and a few people will have incredibly funny thoughts and internally laugh, and some just sit there and are just dead inside. And
yes.
So in that way.
Like I'd love to know what people are thinking. And I've had to see some of those people again in life. So anyway, I definitely wanted to die. But
lucky you didn't.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna pause now. We're gonna have a commercial break until 9:05 UK time. That's about 6 minutes from now. And the second half of this is really gonna be not so specifically about the company, but in terms of Martina's journey in regrets, mistakes, motivations, and something that I think everybody will be able to relate to. So hope to see you back here in 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, we are back with Shoot Your Shot. We are live in London. Specifically, we are in Penge at Love to Beat radio station. If you want to tune in on the radio, it's lovetobeatradio.co.uk. And if you want to look at us, you are in the right place. If you're listening on the radio and you're like, I want to know what these people look like, then tune into TikTok. My username is GAMALCAMEL. And thank you so much for joining. So we are here with the wonderful Martina, a friend of mine who is inspiring, interesting, fascinating, and going after her dreams. So it is such a pleasure to have her here. I'm very thankful that you came. Okay, so we are on to the next segment of our agenda, which is motivation, mistakes, regrets, and reflections. What a title. So the first question I want to ask you, it's a little bit broad, but kind of when you wake up in the morning, what motivates you, not just in terms of your company or bigger things, but what motivates you to get up and fulfill whatever it is, even to just get out of bed sometimes. I know some people are motivated by money, by relationships, by health. How do you think about that?
Probably human connection. That is really the basis of everything for me. Human connection and health, of course, my own health, and with obviously everybody else's health. That is my passion. And I guess with that, success really means now for me that my business is as broad as it possibly can be, and with that reaches people, and with that people connect to each other, because only healthy people really have the capacity to connect. And of course, to me, it's the most amazing thing to see that people got so much better just by me having a chat about my situation, and they've taken it on board, and they call me a little while later and say, you were the inspiration for me to actually feel so much better.
That's very cool
it is
and rewarding.
Fundamentally human connection that really gets me out of bed. And selfishly, the gym I go to, there are some lovely people, and their smile and their good morning, that makes me happy. So I am totally happy.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, you realize when you stay in isolation, some days when you don't go out of the house versus the days where you even say hi to someone at the grocery store, the gym, I feel completely different. So I totally love that answer. Okay, this is my favorite question that I ask everybody who comes on the show, but because this is my motto in life. When you look back at your life and how you feel about how you're living, I always try to think about, if my life was a movie, how would I feel about what is being portrayed on the screen? Okay. And would I be proud of me as the main character of that film? Okay. Would I even come off as the main character? So a movie is coming out. It's called Martina, the movie, and you're the main character. So what would you hope is a takeaway from the movie, or what would the movie be about in a perfect world?
It would probably, the takeaway could maybe, or should really be, there's beauty in everything, and even the most terrible moments, if you look, you will find something amazing coming out of that. And with that, so this concept of, I guess, optimism, fearlessness, kindness, courage, all that is a choice. And I've made that choice, and that is not a daily choice for me anymore. That's just, to me, that's normal. But possibly to inspire people to take that on, and to not have to make the mistakes I made in my earlier life on that journey to get to that place. But so, to really inspire people to be the person. That's how I would describe myself now, or I'm on my way to becoming the person that I would want to be friends with.
I love that.
That's kind of the gold standard.
Powerful.
And so that's kind of,
That's amazing. I absolutely love that. Very cool. I'd watch that movie, by the way. I bet a lot of people would as well. Who would play you? Who?
Oh, sweetheart, you're so young. That's one of the early supermodels.
I'm going to Google this person.
Okay. Classy, beautiful, smart.
Love it. Perfect fit, truly. Okay, amazing. That's really cool. And then we all make mistakes. I've made 1,000 mistakes looking back, and I'm glad that I made most of them. But what is your favorite mistake that you've made?
The favorite. So not stupid things where you think afterwards, that wasn't necessary.
Yes.
The favorite mistake, obviously, that is something, and I will not go into unsavory detail.
Okay.
At high level, it was a romance with the most wonderful person.
Spicy.
And it was for me personally, and for him, it was no mistake in that way. But of course, it was not. If anyone would ever find out about it, that would be a problem.
Okay.
That was inappropriate on so many levels. But,
fair enough.
In hindsight, I can only say that is my absolute favorite mistake, or however you want to call it, because that taught me everything I know about life, about love, about myself, about the world.
Wow.
And so that was, so that is, in the widest sense, if my parents wouldn't find out about that would be, but of course that makes me,
Yes. So it's a mistake, but we don't regret it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
Exactly.
Yes.
Definitely no regret, no.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, my next question is success. I know for me, and I think we kind of touched on this already, that the meaning of success has kind of evolved. For example, I think we both started off in the finance world, the banking world. I think as young people, we're kind of ingrained to think success is a lot more traditional than I believe it to be today. So what did you used to think success was, and how has that evolved, the definition over the years?
Probably in my old life, it was just stuff and status and doing things that it's just all status symbols in every way. And so that was kind of, and of course now, now to me, success is doing something that I enjoy, that I actually know about, as not before where you kind of blag your way through.
Yes.
And where people respect me for knowing that, where I'm doing something that I respect myself for, also to manage one's own time, not in the sense that I can just lie around all day. Quite the opposite. I'm probably a lot busier now than I was, because now I just constantly have ideas and this and that. But it is my choice, and this feeling of this is my choice. I do this because it's important to me, and it's meaningful, and it might actually have a positive impact on other people. So in that way, that is now my sense of success. And probably also now I am very comfortable with people not liking me, not being able to relate to me, because that to me is just a highlight that these are people that have nothing to do with me. That's not my world. So success for me is really the people that I connect with now are the most wonderful people, from the startup context, from anything and everything, where I'm thinking they would not even have spoken with me a few years ago, and I wouldn't have spoken with them because I wouldn't have anything to say. But,
right.
So that is probably that is really my success now. The amazing inspiration from other people, from anyone, and if it is the bus driver in my neighborhood who just says to me, "I haven't seen you for a long time," and that is the moment of thinking. It always comes back to human connection.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. It's all about the human connection. I like some of the things that you said as well, like having respect for yourself and your journey. That's key. And also getting to the point where we don't give an F what other people think. Hell yeah to that, because that bogs people down. Like even in this moment, I'm sure people think, oh, you flip-flop, you're trying this, you're trying that. The minute you free and you liberate yourself from the thoughts of others, and you just think about the success and what it means to you, shooting your shot is authentic to you, that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing. And I think it's really hard to do, though, and it takes time. So it has evolved a lot for me, too. Okay, wonderful. So we're turning back the clock. I don't know how far, because I don't know how old you are. We're not going to talk about that because I don't know. But we're turning back the clock to 18. For me, that was a long time ago. Me too. As you are today, what would you tell 18-year-old you if you could tell her anything about life?
Muster up the courage to be yourself. Don't live someone else's life. And
deep.
That was
like that. Write that down. That was really good.
Because that was only now. So essentially now I'm probably the progression of, if you remember, as a very small child, probably from the age of 3 onwards, you know how you need to behave in order to be loved, in order to fit in. And so now I'm the progression of my 3-year-old self, slightly grown. Now I'm again doing what I think makes sense, what is right for me, what I know is right for other people. And so it's not anymore trying to be this somebody this fits in, nothing like that. So now I'm waffling again.
No, not at all.
So that would be, and of course when I was 18 I wouldn't even have understood what that meant, because I would say, but I am me, you know?
I'm already me.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly. And so that would have been a very difficult conversation, because to get through to 18-year-old me would have been near impossible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel very similarly there. So in your journey so far, and I like to think the journey isn't complete for anyone, and as there's always a way to evolve and grow, but it's possible, I think, to have a few kind of aha moments along the way. But a lot of times people share about like, oh, this is the moment I knew I made it. I look at it more like, oh, this is the moment I knew I was on the right path. But have you kind of had like an aha, look at me, I'm doing it. Look at me, Mom, I'm doing it.
Probably a few moments where I was thinking like, that is surreal. So registering my limited company.
And that's such a big moment, and it deserves congrats still right now. So congrats.
And having conversations with people that get it, and it's just like, wow. So it's not just in my head, but I think this really I made it moment. I think that's going to happen the last moment on this planet where you think like, that was pretty good.
That was actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
But this concept of I've made it nowhere near. It just feels. I so often have these moments where I'm thinking, how cool is that? Somebody actually understands what I'm doing and sees my potential, and I see, the endless pivots, and maybe here and maybe there. But that is part of the fun. But I think I have made it. Yeah, and that's not really something that I'm aiming for, because that would mean that's it now. And it's a lifelong journey. It's just like when people say like, oh, your wedding day is the best day of your life.
Gosh, I hope not.
And you think like, and then
I
all
die?
It goes downhill from there.
Kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's probably the equivalent.
Yeah, I always find that interesting that people say that. It's like, well, what's happening after that?
Exactly.
There's like 80 years left, I hope. I don't know. Yes, and I can relate to that kind of like the I've made it moment. I think, like you said, if you've had it now or you think you've had it now, that's probably not a good sign, because you want to be thinking about evolution and growth. And every day, whatever you achieve, you want to be like, how can I be better? And it doesn't have to be with superficial things, but how can I be better, and how can I grow? So absolutely. And then this is not a religious question, although it sounds like one because it's about heaven, but it doesn't matter what we think of heaven. But let's say there was a heaven just for fun. In an ideal world, what would you hope would be there? Maybe who, what would it be like? What do you picture?
So that probably, it would be obviously about the lovely people that I've met in this life on this planet, and they would all be there. Everybody the age, I remember them, or everybody maybe my age, my grandma my age, everybody my age, and people just hang out together and just greeting me. Oh, finally she's here, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fun.
She made it. We were waiting for her. Exactly. That would be a nice feeling.
So I have this very Zen idea of the next life. So I kind of imagine it like that.
I love that. Makes me feel some peace, actually. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about how our viewers can kind of keep up with you, how we can follow along with the exciting work you're doing, and then we're going to end with some kind of fun, rapid fire, unrelated to serious things, topics. Okay, so something I want to ask everybody who comes on this podcast when they leave, and it doesn't have to be for entrepreneurs, but what is the one piece of advice you would give to people who are shooting their shot?
You know, there's this saying, it's an English saying, and I just love it so much, and I think that's so often. It says essentially, there are only two mistakes in life to make. One, to think that to worry about what everybody thinks, and to think that anyone cares, and to realize that nobody's actually looking. Whatever you do your own thing. Nobody cares.
Yes.
Nobody's looking, and of course, all that matters is you yourself. You have responsibility for your own integrity, for your own life, for everything. But don't worry about people that may or may not have seen you go somewhere, eat an ice cream, talk to whatever. It's meaningless, and that I think is so many people are still bound by this. Oh, it's not that the done thing, and what are people gonna say, and nobody cares.
Yeah, who cares?
Exactly. So, and without being a ruthless asshole, but actually to not worry about stuff that just does not matter. I think that's probably.
Absolutely. I really cannot agree with that more, because it breaks my heart that so many people truly, when you break this down, this is something I've talked a lot about on the show, why don't they go after something? One of the biggest reasons is people are afraid about what other people think. That makes me so sad, because to what you just said, which is what I think about all the time. First of all, no one cares. But let's even imagine that for 1 hour of Saturday, everybody you know from high school is going to have a text chain about you and your business, and they think it's dumb. Let's even say that's the worst. That's as bad as it gets, by the way. That's it. After that Saturday for an hour, they have their kids, they have their job, they have their problems. No one will be thinking about you. So who cares? That's how I think about it. It doesn't matter. So I really love that, because that has been proven to be one of the biggest barriers for people. And that's such a bummer, because it's not even how they feel.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how we think other people are going to feel.
Exactly.
Okay, your company... We want to know, how can we keep up with what you're doing? What's the best way? We know you're having this app. We know you have your website. How can we keep up with you?
So the app doesn't exist yet, but I think probably the website is pretty good. So that's viatitudehealth.com.
Okay.
And probably the most insightful insight
yes.
Would be
Yes.
my LinkedIn, because
Okay.
every other day I post something related to food, lifestyle, and brain health.
Yes.
That can be anything and everything, and that gives a bit of insight into how I think and how it all works. And on LinkedIn and on my website, there's a bit more information about the product or the service that's available now. That's the manual version, the brain health MOT. The app is not yet developed. That's going to cost a lot of money. So for that, I need to marry a really rich dude.
We can arrange for that. Don't worry. We'll just ask, any listeners, any rich people. We need some funding. But no, that's really cool. And I just wanted to vouch for her LinkedIn, because I am a follower of the LinkedIn, and she really posts very fascinating things that I think when you're thinking brain health, it seems like it might be overwhelming, but it's so digestible to anybody because it's simply about healthy living. Like I read one of your posts about eggs or gallbladder removal or all these different things, that it's really just about health and really habits that we should all be taking in anyway. So I'd say the LinkedIn is just like a great resource. So hit it up. Full name again, Martina.
Okay. The whole name is a bit harder. It's Meyer Sue Selhausen. But I think if you go to LinkedIn and just type in Martina space Meyer, Meyer space Z, and I should come up.
Gotta find her. It's really good stuff. And when can people expect the app? We know you need to raise money for it. We were joking about the rich men. We don't need men here. But men are great as well. But you get it. But when can we expect the app, or what is the timing you hope to achieve?
Well, it is really that I think the MVP will possibly kick off in 6 months. And then after that, the actual version might be another year.
Okay.
So that is going to be a lot of work, lots of validation, lots of research, evidence generation, a lot of work to be done in the meantime. But I'm very happy for people to contact me via LinkedIn and keep in touch. And anyone who has great ideas, I'm always interested to have conversations.
Amazing. And we talked about what people can expect from the company, the business, the app is coming. We got a lot of things popping off that are very exciting. But what can people expect from you as a human? Forget about entrepreneurship, founder, work. What can we expect to see from you?
Endless wonderful things.
I believe that. I can also vouch for that.
I think at this stage, probably my whole life is very much about the company.
Yes.
And it is... Life is still incredibly exciting for me every day, because after 15 years of being of not living, it's essentially, I lie about my age constantly because I'm missing 15 years of my life where I did not do anything. I didn't live. I wasn't present in any way. And so now, only coming here and trekking through town, different part of town, and I'm like, I'm here.
You're alive. 6 years alive.
Exactly.
An amazing story.
So I'm learning to live, and I'm I guess big thing for me is inspiration. Speaking with people that inspire me and I inspire them. It always comes back to human connection.
You're a truly, genuinely very inspiring person. It's incredible to go through something like you went through and then make something so beautiful out of it. It's absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Nothing short of that. All right, one more serious question, and then we're going to go into a quick rapid fire round, and then sadly for you guys, it's over. Can you believe it? It went by fast. So the last question is kind of a catch-all. I know I asked you a ton of questions tonight, but is there any message you want to leave with the listeners, kind of bringing it back to shoot your shot, hyping people up to fulfill whatever they're thinking about? I like to think about someone going to bed tonight feeling frustrated or feeling lost. Is there anything you would say to somebody like that?
There's never a perfect time for something. Go for it. And I think there's this term, analysis paralysis. And that really describes this. You need to find out more. You need to perfect before you can do anything. You need to know everything. That's never going to happen. So go for it. Being paralyzed by all the pre-work and the analysis is the worst thing ever.
Yes.
And so one life to live, every moment counts.
Hell yeah. And as they say, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is today. And that just means I think a lot of times we're bogged down with, oh, I haven't started. I'm this age. I'm doing X. I haven't gone for it. It's too late. Can't say enough that it is never too late to do anything. And go for it. As Martina said, it's so inspiring, but it is literally so true. It does not matter how old you are, what's going on in your life. None of that matters. You can start tomorrow. And I think Martina is a better example than most people that I've spoken to, because she has made something so beautiful out of such a kind of tough time, I imagine. So it's a beautiful thing. So that is the majority of the show. It's over, which is sad because I feel like I could speak to you for a lot longer, but we are at time. So we're just going to do a fun, little goofy, unrelated to anything serious rapid fire to get to know Martina a little bit more, and then we are signing off. Okay, so rapid fire, Martina. Ask permission or beg forgiveness?
I would usually ask for permission, unless it's something where I'm thinking like, that's stupid, nobody needs. So yeah, in general, I would ask for permission, and I will always apologize if I have hurt somebody or something. So
very classy integrity going on here. I like it. All right. Best film you saw in 2024?
You know, that was rewatching movies from way, way back. I don't think I watched anything new, but it was American Beauty.
One of my favorite movies.
Know,
it's in my top 5.
I've forgotten how amazingly perfect it is. And also A Single Man.
Never seen it.
That is a movie that was directed or a role. An important role in the movie was held by Tom Ford, the designer. It is brutally, perfectly stylish perfection. The story is all about dealing with grief in the most stylish way.
Wow.
It is with Colin Firth. It is
I know
beautiful.
who Colin is. Okay.
And it's probably one of my favorite movies.
Wow.
Ever.
I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will look into that one. All right, a death row meal.
Blueberries.
What? That is really upsetting.
Truckload of fresh organic blueberries.
All right, I'll give it to you. That sounds good because there's a lot of them and it's fresh. It's in a truck, but you're a very healthy person.
I love blueberries.
I think I would say like hot dogs covered in Cheetos, but I have problems.
We need to have a conversation about that.
Yes. Okay, Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni, and do you care at all about this question?
I probably don't know enough about
Okay.
that. I think that's so complex. I would always say I would hate anyone to be violated or anything in any way. But of course, in that instance, that's so complex. I don't really have a defensible position. I think
Again,
there.
so respectable, so much integrity. I'm going to say Justin Baldoni, but no one's asking me. But I appreciate that. Okay, early bird versus night owl.
I would say probably early hours bird, in that depending on the day, it would be going to the gym, getting at 6 o'clock in the morning. Unless there's a DJ in town that I need to see, and then I will get into bed at 6 o'clock.
Wow. Versatile and very fun. I like it. Okay, Donald Trump is bleep. Could be a curse word, could be something nice. It's up to you.
Difficult.
True that. That's true.
I definitely see that the U.S. government needs a bit of disruption. A few things need to be changed there. I'm not sure if his execution is the best way of doing it. I don't know. I think that's...
Again, very diplomatic. I'm going to say your boy's got problems. And Elon Musk is a whole nother problem. But I like your answers there. You could be a politician as well.
Thank you.
You're very poised. Last question is, what is your favorite city?
London.
London. This girl loves London. You gave me some positivity about London tonight, which I really liked.
There is no better place in the world.
Very cool. Guys, Martina for you, an incredible, inspiring woman who has had something debilitating happen and turned it into something amazing, powerful, empowering, beautiful, absolutely incredible. And someone I'm lucky to call a friend and have met on the Shoot Your Shot journey many years ago, and now she is really killing it, which is amazing. You are killing it.
I'm working.
It is the end of the show, which is sad. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to leave with just 2 thoughts because it is the month of International Women's Day. I believe it was on March 8th. I have not been in the studio this month because I was traveling, so I missed any shout outs for International Women's Day. And I attended an event for Women's Day, and I got these 2 cards. I wanted to sign off sharing what they say because I think it's really special and very shoot your shot-esque. One says, do what you love and don't stop. And on the back it says, keep going. Keep going, but really, keep going. And the other one says, I am capable of doing incredible things. I can and I will. Watch me. Which is absolutely amazing, empowering. And, you know, we love the men too. So go women, but also, you know, men shooting your shot. We love all the humans. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. It means so much to me. The full episode will be up on YouTube. I now have a YouTube channel for Shoot Your Shot, which is a new thing and very exciting. You can watch the full episode and just replay Martina when you need some motivation. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.